I'm going to pull up the dashboard on YouTube so I can follow along and catch all the comments. It's not showing live yet. Let's see. There we go. All right, guys, if you're joining us live, waiting on a guest to join the room, I'm going to, let's see here, try to pull this up so I can see the comments as you guys are commenting. So be patient with me for 1 second. All right, guys, as you probably have seen so far, we have Alex Bosco from SB Tactical, who's going to be joining us live here in a minute. I'm setting everything up like we try to do typically, is where I can follow along with you guys and read the comments. And hopefully we can bring some of these comments and questions that you guys might have to Alex when he joins us. Waiting on him to click in real quick. I want to go over a couple things with you guys. We do have, as some of you guys may have already heard, we've got a pretty cool, I guess you call it, event that's going to be coming up later next month, starting January 18th. Of course, everybody by now has heard that SHOT Show for 2021 has been canceled. And we kind of, I guess everybody knew that it would be. There was no way that state of Nevada or Las Vegas was going to allow however many tens of thousands of people to go down to Las Vegas and drink and be merry for 5 days in a row, or 6, depending on how long before you went in and all that good stuff. So we actually prepared a little bit ahead of time. And what we've done is we're going to be live streaming our own version of a virtual SHOT Show, kind of designed and set up the same way SHOT Show is designed and set up, with that Monday, January 18th being our own range day. And what we'll do is we have companies who are sending us their gear, and we will be doing and demoing our own range day out here down in Louisiana and live streaming that entire event live. So you guys will be able to not only watch everything, but comment, ask questions, and all that good stuff along the way, and kind of be a part of the whole process. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the interaction with all the viewers out there. Hopefully you guys will get the word out and share to people that will be doing that. And that's that Monday range day. Now, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're not sure how many of those days, for sure Tuesday and Wednesday, but we're going to be doing what we're calling virtual booths, where we'll actually have people who will, again, they won't be here. We won't be with each other, but we'll do similar to what you're seeing right now. We'll take our own live stream, plug their live stream in, their live video from wherever they are. And let's say they set a booth up like this room right here. They will be able to talk about whatever firearms or gear, whatever, in our live stream. You guys can ask questions. We can ask questions. We can totally interact. And you're going to see more of the bells and whistles of what we can do tonight, because when we get Alex in here in a second, you're going to see how we can split screen and do some pretty cool stuff that we don't always do whenever I do my live streams on a Friday night. So we're going to kind of flex that a little bit tonight and let you see some of what we're doing on that. Just a real quick heads up on some of the companies that we're going to be having between Range Day and our virtual booths. And by the way, we're calling the event the 1791 Summit. Again, it's the 1791 Summit. If you know anyone who wants to participate in it, a vendor of any kind, just send them to 1791summit.com. Again, that's 1791summit.com. So some of the companies that we have, we're really excited about these. I wrote them down here, the ones off the top of my head. We've got Daniel Defense, Rock Island Armory, Strike Industries, Legion Targets. Legion Targets is actually going to provide us with a whole, I guess, field of targets, steel targets that we're going to be able to use. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun having Legion targets out there. Excuse me, I got something in my eye. But yeah, Legion targets, it's kind of a spin-off, I guess, in a way of action targets. We used to do some stuff with action targets, and Legion targets has a really bright blue target that they have. We'll have dueling trees out there, some silhouette targets and all that. So real proud to have those guys on board. We'll have LBX Gear on board. Ford Motor Company is actually going to be a part of this. Mission First Tactical, Pyramid Air. I think I mentioned Daniel Defense. And as far as celebrities, so far I've got Chris Tonto Peranto. You guys will remember Chris Tonto Peranto from the movie 13 Hours. He's one of the guys in Benghazi that whenever Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton pretty much abandoned the annex and everybody over there from the YouTube video that they say prompted the attack on our embassy over there where Ambassador Stevens was killed. Chris was one of the guys that was on the roof defending everybody and trying to get as many people out alive as he could. And Chris has become a pretty good friend of our show. And he's gracious enough to always be on my live streams every time I do it. So I'm happy to have Chris on here again. We're actually going to be giving away some of Chris's books too. So, you know, I don't want to not mention this. We're going to have a lot of giveaways. I think we might even do a gun giveaway with Daniel Defense. I haven't confirmed that yet, but they're the ones that brought it up to me. So I do think we'll do that. But we're going to have a bunch of other giveaways where we'll just give away swag and all kinds of other things. And we're actually going to give away some of Chris's books. So that's going to be kind of cool. And the last celebrity that I have on here that we will have part of all that also is Max Michel. You guys will remember world champion shooter, probably still to this day the best shooter in the world, Max Michel. He'll be on. So I'm trying to get him over to Range Day on that Monday too, but I'm not 100% sure if we'll have him over there. Without further ado, guys, I want to bring in our guest for tonight. You guys will probably remember a lot of what's going on in the news within the last month even, but certainly this week with a lot of the things that went down with the ATF and the ATF putting out everything they do is so ambiguous. I don't even know how to categorize it, but they're putting out what they're, or I guess describing as their letter that we can comment on. That's going to be is actually listed as of today on the Federal Register. I want to talk to, let me back this up. I've got Alex Bosco from SB Tactical. You guys will probably remember Alex. Alex has been on our show a couple times, some videos we did a couple years ago. But he's a friend of the show. Always proud to bounce things off of Alex whenever there's something that's relating to stabilizing braces, because Alex is definitely, his company is the tip of the spear when it comes to that particular accessory for firearms. And Alex, I want to welcome you to our Friday Night Live. Thanks a lot, Alex.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to see you.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go into some of the stuff. And hang on, let me say this real quick. Chad, let me turn my volume down because I can hear a lot of the bounce back of the audio.
Let me mute.
Yeah, that mutes. I'll still want to obviously be able to hear Alex. I don't know if I need to turn my volume down a little bit or what.
No, you're good. That was me. You're good. That was me.
Okay, cool. First off, Alex, what I want to do is I'm going to go through at a very, very high level some of what the letter pointed out this past week. And I want to get your thoughts on it as we go. Stop me at any point if there's something that you want to elaborate on. But because it's so much in here, and I know your time is limited, that I don't want to go through the whole thing in too much detail to bog us down in time. Let's see. The one thing that really perplexed me so far in all of this, and guys, I'm going to post a link to the letter so you guys can all read it. Again, I'm not going to go through it word for word. The one thing that I did notice that I have limited knowledge of the, what is it, Alex, the Administrative Procedures Act? Is that what it's called? Okay. From what I understood, I thought it was a minimum of a 30-day comment collection that they did. And it looks like in this case, it's 14 days.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of, I don't know if there's a delay or not, so I hope you guys can hear me okay. What I thought was really interesting when I read down this article, there's a footnote, and I don't know if many people go down to read the footnote, but footnote number 9 on page 11 says, only significant documents as defined by 28 CFR are required to be made available for more than or for at least 30 days. And they give exceptions to that, okay? So they should be for 30 days unless the comments are impracticable. Now, could impracticable possibly mean if the document that was released that required comments was released during a period of time that was impracticable for most people to comment, like say Christmas and New Year's possibly? Could that be one of the exceptions as impracticable? Then it says unnecessary. Well, unnecessary is interesting because the product itself is not a public safety issue. So could it be unnecessary because it's possibly not a public safety issue? And the third exception requiring more than 14 days would be that it's contrary to public interest. Now, I'm curious, does anybody who's listening right now think that this document is not contrary to public interest? I mean, I don't know, like this footnote, they put it in there and they seem to think that this footnote exempts them from giving more than 14 days. And the only exceptions are those three things we just talked about. Well, I gave an answer to an exception for each one of those, yet they think 14 days is enough. I guess they don't, it's not that important. It's only significant guidance documents that require more 14 days.
Is that an administrative procedures, alternate time frame, or is this something these guys made up on the fly like this? Because I was reading right before we came on the Administrative Procedure Act, trying to see if there was anything in there that allowed them to go for less than 30 days, and I hadn't got to it yet. I'm not saying it's not in there, but I hadn't got to it yet. Is this an Administrative Procedures Act? Like this is what's a 60-year-old act? Is it in there, or is this something these guys made up?
The best attorneys the Department of Justice and ATF have documented this article with a footnote that cites 28 CFR 50.27. So I'm assuming that, the best we've got have said that it's not really a significant document. And for those reasons, they're only giving it 14 days. And that there's nothing impracticable about this document. There's nothing unnecessary about it. And if contrary, of course, I'm being sarcastic, and I don't know if people understand that. But yeah.
All right. Well, that was one of the first things that struck me, because I have, again, somewhat limited understanding of that act, but enough to where I know what it's supposed to do and what the limitations have been in the past when we did the green tip and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, we've been through this process before, and I never remembered it being this short. And like you said, it sure seems like it's by design that something as popular as stabilizing braces. And again, thank you for your company doing that for us, because it's clearly something that people wanted, because there are millions of them out there. But it sure seems coincidental to me that we're straddling two of the biggest holidays of the year. I made a comment to my employees the other day that these 2 weeks, we get hardly anything done coming up, because they're basically 3-day work weeks, 3-day work weeks in a row. And the rest of the time is, I don't want to say partying, but I mean, you're meeting with family, you're traveling, you're doing this and you're doing that. I wonder if it hasn't been by design. I mean, let's face it, the credibility of the ATF is at an all-time low right now. So this seems like something that was planned like this. And, what better time to do that? I mean, the only thing that could have made this any better is if there was no coronavirus, where people were just really going out there going crazy. At least we kind of have somewhat of a captive audience to a certain degree right now, because we do have a lot of people's attention. And I will tell you this real quick too, Alex. I'm a little bit surprised, in a good way, positively surprised at how serious people are taking this topic, and how we do have people's attention right now in general. I see very few people that are kind of in the dissenting ranks right now. A lot of people are very supportive of what we're all trying to do by bringing awareness to this. I don't think the 14 days personally is going to matter, that they cut it in half. I do think we're going to get enough participation. I honestly do. I really feel that way. But I think it's going to take all of us pushing this.
I don't know. I mean, I just, it's funny. I probably making a mistake by doing this, but I look online a lot and I answer a lot of people through email. But I got to tell you, man, like the ATF knows what it's doing. And when they told people, oh, we'll give you free something, the minute the ATF says they're going to give something for free, you watch the comments. Oh, that's great. I'm okay with that. Free. I'm going to go submit, all of my guns for free. And they're okay with it. People are okay with it. I don't understand that. When I read people's comments and I see people saying, well, I'm okay with just registering all my guns for free, I don't see that. I didn't think we were like that. And I hope we're not. Maybe we're not. Maybe it's just, the internet sometimes and Twitter and all of these places are really just a place for a lot of people to voice something that in the past we just would never have heard. And maybe the majority of us are real, strong-minded, opinionated and willing to fight for the Second Amendment group of folks. I hope that's who we are. I really do. I really hope that's who we are. And that's what we need. Right now, everybody needs to be responding to the ATF. This is a call to action. People don't understand. Like, braces aren't banned according to this document, but this is the first stab at the ATF to ban braces. Not only that, this is Regina Lombardo essentially trying out for the position of the director of the ATF for the incoming administration. That's
Right.
what it is to me. And all of these people that I've spoken to, Marvin Richardson, like, I've sat down in front of a table with him. He's the most affable man you will ever meet. Okay. He's, yeah, don't worry about it, Mr. Bosco. Everything's okay. You're okay. You're fine. Your braces are okay. We've met with them in the presence of the former director of the ATF, Mike Sense, SB Tactical, and myself. And he's told us that we were fine. And all of a sudden, we're here today.
Right.
We're trying to ban braces. I mean, how did we get to this? This would be, if it goes into effect, the largest gun registration in U.S. history, and this is okay. It's insane. I'm sorry, Paul. This is crazy, and I'm sorry I'm emotional about it. I'll apologize to the viewers right now.
No, you're good. You're good. In fact, I want to remind our viewers, if they don't recognize Marvin's name, Marvin is one of the gentlemen who was kind enough to get awarded for his bravery at Waco whenever they burnt the the Branch Davidian compound down to the ground. He actually received an award for his participation in that. So that's what kind of people we have working in the ATF. And I'm not trying to attack the guy personally, but when you award people for what went down over there with an actual award that you hang on your wall, to me, that tells me the kind of culture that we're dealing with. Because look, I know we've all dealt with ATF people. Not everybody at the ATF is bad. And I feel it's very important that I say that. However, there's a lot of bad people at the ATF. And the fact that that's the kind of people that we're dealing with, and that's the kind of culture that is awarded over there, I would be so ashamed to have an award hanging on my wall on my end of the table, knowing that I was being awarded for something that happened in Waco, anything that happened in Waco, even if it was just a participation trophy. I don't want that. I don't want people seeing that I was a part of that. And that's what they reward. I want to go through some of this real quick because, again, I know you got to go. Let's see. Okay. This section right here, and again, Alex, stop me at any point. I want to mention to you guys, I'm gonna post pictures of my notes so that everybody can read all this. What these guys have done is they painted a picture. They're putting the background of why they're doing what they're doing and making the announcements that they're doing. And they're lining out very, very general things that they're going to use to determine if firearms, and I'm going to use the term firearms because I know it's going to be interchangeable with AR, pistol, and SBR. But the firearms, they're going to determine based on a plethora of things attached to the firearm, how it's used, and all that stuff to determine if it is, in fact, an NFA item or not. The things that got me is, let's see, one of the things, even though firearms may appear to have similar features, an ATF classification pertains only to the particular sample submitted. Obviously, they're saying that these things can be modified by you, the end user out there, which makes it even more ambiguous because these things are sold to us, again, in good faith. And I'm talking about the firearm in general. And they're saying that based on what you put on it and how you use it could change what the classification, according to them, is. Now, and Alex, I have a loaded question I'm going to ask you here in a minute, so don't let me forget that. Accordingly, ATF must evaluate whether a particular firearm and configured with a stabilizing brace bears the objective features of a firearm designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder and thus subject to NFA on a case-by-case basis. Anytime judgment is included in any kind of a rulemaking process or anything that might be considered a quasi-law, and they use the phrase case-by-case basis, that scares the crap out of me. Because that means that they can change, bend, modify the rules based on anything. It could be the type of mood that this person wakes up in on that particular day whenever they come across you. And honestly, Alex, I'm going to ask you this. It doesn't seem like there's any like, I guess, how can I explain this? They're not going to send and I'm being facetious when I say this, they're not going to send an army of people out there to knock on doors to see what your AR pistol is configured right or with. It sounds to me like this is going to be one of those when somebody gets pulled over on the side of the road and they have drug paraphernalia or something like that, it's going to be an opportunity to add additional charges to somebody. Because other than people surrendering their own stuff and destroying it or handing it into the ATF or registering it free, it doesn't sound like there's going to be a wholehearted effort to actually go after these things. Am I wrong about that?
No. Well, the problem with this document is that there's no metric. Okay, there's categories. Okay, so we got to take a step back. The whole purpose, the reason why DOJ came out with a document and not ATF, is because our attorneys, okay, we were so frustrated with the inability to get any real metric idea as a manufacturer in the industry to understand, to make our products. We had listened to DOJ, said, we're not getting any answers. DOJ agreed with us and they pulled this thing from ATF. Well, obviously that pissed ATF off because we went to their daddy. Okay, and daddy said, listen, you're not doing things the right way. Okay, the problem is daddy's preferred child is the ATF. Okay, and instead of working with the industry, I'm not saying us, I'm saying the industry, they could have worked with the industry to help come up with parameters. And by parameters, I mean metrics. I'm talking about numbers. I'm not talking about categories. And instead what they did was they said, okay, well, we took it away from you, but because we don't know enough about this subject, can you help us draft a document? And essentially what Marvin Richardson and Regina did is they talked to their guys, probably Mike Curtis, if I had to guess, and they drafted a document that essentially stated everything they've always stated before. And they've come up with this stuff. Now, and when you read it, you know, you try to understand, well, if I'm an end user or if I'm a manufacturer, does this document with parameters under which I can operate to maintain my focus on not deviating from the law? And now remember, as gun owners, we're the most law-abiding group of citizens that you can find. They don't want that. They want a rubber ruler. They want to be able to tell you that, well, it could be this, but maybe it's not. And remember, the penalty here is felony offense. It's a felony. You go to prison, 10-year felony offense. So you're going to tell me that the best our government can come up with after 6+ months of working with the ATF is writing type and caliber without telling us what the type and caliber are, writing weight and length without giving us any idea what weight and length are. Length of pull, they told us in meetings it's 13.5 inches. They're not going to tell us now what it is, and you're going to start this list of things by saying, and I quote, include but are not limited to. What kind of document is this? What factors does anybody have by signing this document in 2 weeks? Okay, how do we as an industry and end users, how are we any better off with this document side? All this thing does is codify what we've been saying, which is the ATF wants to have something that allows them to say, we'll know it when we see it. And this document does just that. It codifies their ability to say, we'll know it when we see it. And now after 2 weeks, if they do approve this document, they'll have a document that says we can do that. That's unfair, it's obscene, it's un-American, and everybody who reads this document should be pissed off. I'm pissed off, okay? And it's not, you know, people are like, well, you're only in it for the money for your company. Forget that. I'm fine, okay? What I'm worried about is the end user. What I'm worried about is somebody getting caught up in a governmental scheme to register firearms, which registration leads to confiscation. We say that all the time. Do we believe it or do we not believe it? So you want to register your gun because you can get a free SBR out of it and you're not thinking about the confiscation side of it anymore? Sorry, man, then you don't belong in part of this group. It just doesn't work for me. Again, apologize for the emotion, but it's just, this is insane. I can't hear you though. Did I lose you? Hold up. Can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I think we lost
Paul.
Paul.
Now I hear you. Nope. Now I lost you again. I heard you for a second. Nothing yet. No audio. I'm going to try and hang up and call you guys back. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Alex. This is Chad.
Now I hear you.
It's saying Paul muted himself.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I lost Paul's audio.
Too much technology, brother.
Yeah. That's weird. I just lost him all of a sudden.
Are we live? I'm curious.
Yes.
I can see him saying cut something.
Yeah. Okay, let me kill Paul. That's so low on you, Alex. Anything you want to rant about, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I could rant off for hours. I mean, if people are listening, I mean, it's the call to action, I guess, is what people want to know. What do we need to do? What's the next thing to do? And what I've been telling people listening is, either donate money to who is the best person to work for you, and let that be GOA, AGR, NRA, whoever it may be. Call, answer there's a response that you can have. There's comments that you can make here. Definitely make comments. And I think the most important thing that ATF wants to know about in the DOJ is, how does this affect you? I mean, is this something that can affect your income? Is this something that affects your store? I mean, everybody I'm talking to, the local guys are saying the only guns they're selling right now are braced guns. And the idea that we're not going to have these braced guns anymore, they don't know what that means for their income. And that's what scares me. That's the one thing that hurts me the most, is the idea that you don't have certainty. And when you own a business, there's already a lot of uncertainty. But when you have the government write a document like this, especially considering the years that we've been working with the ATF to attempt to get them to give us standards right as a manufacturer, to me, that's it. It's crazy. Did we get you back, Paul?
Yeah, I think so. Do you hear me?
I hear you. There's a little bit of an echo, but I think that's because you got your colleague there that's got the volume on too.
Yeah. The thing I want to point out, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more. And guys, I will post pictures of my notes on here. I want to elaborate on what Alex was talking about a minute ago about the categories. Remember, Alex and his company and his attorneys, they have been after the ATF to have a legitimate definition, something on paper, something in ink that they can actually say, these are the rules we expect you to play by. Instead of defining that, what they did is they defined categories that are super ambiguous. To me, made really the whole, how they're going to determine if something is an SBR or an AR pistol or not, even more ambiguous by the type and caliber. Some of the things, I don't know if you can see that okay. It's a little tough to see with the split screen. The things that I highlighted in here, it says the type and caliber of firearm to which a stabilizing brace or similar item is installed. A large caliber firearm, I quote, that is impractical to fire with one hand. What's impractical for me to fire with one hand is different than some other person that might be half my size or twice my size. They've made this so subjective. Moving on to the next one, weight and length. Same thing, no definition. They say a firearm that is so heavy that it's impractical to fire or aim with one hand, or so long that it is difficult to balance the firearm to fire with one hand, and it's likely to be considered a rifle or shotgun. So you're telling me that if something is too long for a particular person, not necessarily me, but a person to balance with one hand, they can't properly balance it by holding in one hand. So now it just, because of that, became a rifle or a pistol. Now, granted, these things are not like, say, suppressors or something where you have a form that you filled out and paid your tax stamp to, and only you can have that. So that means that I could loan my gun to 15 different people and have 15 different people operate 15 different ways with whatever the configuration is that I have, whether they feel like it's too heavy, too light, too long, or too short. So you have one gun that you could have half of that 15, or I guess not exactly half, but most of that 15 would be, I guess the ATF would determine that they were now in possession of a short barrel rifle. And the other half, you're good to go because of the way you handle it, because it's not too heavy for you. And that's the ambiguity that I don't like about this. Same thing with length of pull. Like Alex said, they've got a whole paragraph in here with length of pull. And the one thing that cracked me up is if a brace is of a length that makes it impractical to attach the shooter's wrist or forearm. Alex, I've got a plethora of your products, but I just happen to have one right here for this reason. And this is a CMMG, by the way. This came on their rifle. Look how much, I mean, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but with this thing fully extended, I've got another 4 inches before I even get to my elbow. This thing could be extended 17 inches and still be practical for me as a taller person, where a shorter person, it's actually not going to be the same. So you're telling me that with me, it's okay to have it configured like this because it fits firmly on my forearm, but a shorter person that might be up in their elbow, that's not practical. And that's not, those guys could get nailed with some kind of, like Alex said, 10 years or $10,000. That's the kind of ambiguity that drives me absolutely insane, because it's a moving target. It's a set of rules that's clearly not defined. And if a person is defining that, like if the person who is in possession at that very moment is the one, again, we're not talking about suppressors where only that one person has to possess that. It's legal to let 20 people borrow your firearm. That's totally legal. For now, that's legal. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that, to me, short people, tall people, strong people, weak people, I understand what the brace was designed for. And thanks to your company, Alex, for actually being the ones that put that out there. I mean, to me, you guys have opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people. But I have seen people use these braces the way they were intended to at the range. I've seen less people shouldering these. And in fact, truth be told, Alex, and I'm just going to tell you this just for what I see. If I see people at the range who are not actually using this as a brace, you know what the worst that I see that they do? They don't shoulder it. They press it to their cheek. That's the worst that I see. And they're getting that whole optics thing. And that's later on in here of how you put the optic on the firearm. And if you have, depending on your short or long eye relief, if I put this thing to my cheek, I'm 6-8 inches from shouldering it. I can achieve the kind of eye relief that I want to get on a short eye relief. I don't need to have that thing fully extended. So you're telling me if I've never shouldered this thing before in my entire life, and the only thing they have to tag me on is if I have an optic on there that has short eye relief, that now I'm going to be in possession of an illegal SBR, but I've never shouldered it. I don't intend to shoulder it, and I never have shouldered it. And honestly, I've got videos of me shooting this thing. I've never shouldered this thing, never had to. This is how I've shot them. That's how I shoot most of my braces. And that's the thing that drives me nuts, is that I don't buy these to skirt some law and have some kind of accessory that, oh, now I can shoulder this. Ha ha, that's my middle finger to the ATF. That's not what I've done. I like the way you guys design these. They work for me.
Right. Well, most people buy their firearm not, I mean, look, firearms are tools, but let's be honest. Most of us who purchase firearms like the way they look. It's iconic. You've got a gun, a 249, you've got a Garand. People like that look. They want to see something that they've had, that they played on a video game. It's a visceral purchase. Okay. People are buying things because they like the way they look. There's nothing about a brace that makes the weapon any more lethal. And if ATF's mandate, one of which is public safety, what public safety issue do we have here? I mean, there's no public safety issue here. This is simply the government putting its finger in things that it doesn't need to be putting its fingers in. And the reality of it is, again, this is affecting the lives of millions of people Okay. The purpose, if you ask me, of this document that the ATF has drafted is to stop commerce. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They don't want people to buy these guns. What's the best way to stop people from buying guns? Well, we can't really write anything that's going to stop you from doing it. But what I can do is I can hold the head. In other words, I can hold a felony offense over your head. And if I tell you that if I catch you doing something like that, I may put you in prison, I guarantee you that has a chilling effect on the most law-abiding group of folks that you'll ever find. And that is exactly what they're trying to do, is to stop commerce. And the idea that the government, okay, people that have not been elected are in these positions are attempting to stop commerce because of something they don't really like is to me, again, obscene and disgusting. And these people should be routed from where they're working. Marvin Richardson and Regina Lombardo, who signed this document, have no right being in that position. They should be gone. And the people who are underneath them, who I've sat down at a table across, who patted me on the back on several occasions where I've gotten emotional like I am right now and said, oh, Mr. Bosco, you got nothing to worry about. Don't worry. You're always too concerned. You know, and here we are today, those people gone. And I mean gone, because they are people who are, they're people who are trying to push gun control. Don't be in that position if you're trying to push gun control. If you want to try and you've got a problem with my product, you know what you can do? You are a government official. You can go to somebody in Congress and say, listen, these products, we're finding them in all sorts of crimes, and we think that we should ban them. And that congressperson is going to take that data, and then that congressman, based on the fact that he was voted in office, can say, listen, we need to do this. We need to get rid of this product. But the idea that somebody in that position that is not, he cannot make law, is trying to chill commerce because that's the only way they can do it, to me is disgusting. It's un-American, and it's not the country I grew up in, man. This is not the country I grew up in.
Well, and to your point about the not being a public safety issue, I actually wrote on my paper next to the paragraph, I put the why. They actually state this: due to the rise of firearms configured in this manner and a correlating increase in the number of classification requests from the industry, ATF is publishing this list, and they go on to say why they're doing it. They're making it sound like, which is probably the exact reason why, because of the rise of the amount of firearms that are actually being equipped and outfitted with these braces. This next paragraph, though, right behind this one, and if anybody has kids in the room, this is probably going to get a little ugly, because this I felt my ears get hot when I read this sentence. This was the, again, I hope there aren't kids in the room. I've been chastised before by using language. This is what they wrote. This is what an asshole does when he's trying to say, I don't have to do this. I'm just doing this to be nice. Although there is no requirement that a guidance document be published for notice and comment, that's their way of saying we don't have to do this. ATF has decided to publish the proposed objective factors in the Federal Register for a brief comment period. Given the public interest surrounding the issues, ATF will consider the comments it receives before finalizing the guidance. If that is not a big middle finger to us, that is their way of saying, I'm only doing this to shut you guys up. I'm only doing this because you guys are making a lot of noise about this and you're angry about this. They're hearing about this even before all this went down. Obviously, you know, videos that ourselves and everybody else have been putting out about a lot of the stuff that's been happening to you guys, Alex. The ATF is hearing from it. I mean, I've got people who have sent me the emails they've sent to the ATF. So I know the ATF is hearing about it. And this is the way of some asshole typing this paragraph right here of saying, okay, let's let them know we don't have to do this, but we're just letting them know we're being nice about it. So you should be lucky that I'm letting you comment on this. It's kind of what I gathered from this. That drives me insane. You want to talk about an abuse of power? That is an abuse of power. No major corporation in America would allow any of their PR people to put any bullshit like that out in any kind of correspondence to their customers.
So what I was going to say, and what pisses me off the most, and you know, I've been in conversations with a lot of politicians, well-known, the highest levels of government. What's interesting to me is that both Department of Justice and the ATF are telling people in Congress that this is what the industry has been asking for. That's what they have a smug enough face to go to their boss and say, oh, but this is what they want. They want us to give this document. This is exactly what they're asking for. And the reality of it is that they're liars. They are lying. Okay. And I've been lied to by these people. There was a document that came out over Thanksgiving that we talked about that had nothing but lies about me and what we've done in it. And it's insane. It is insane allowed to repeat that. These people don't belong in public office. They should be gone. They should be fired. They have no right to be there. And I'm sure they're fantastic people. Regina Lombardo, I'm sure she's the greatest person ever. But if this is the document that she's going to attach her name to, she should be ashamed. Either that or the people underneath her are pulling the wool over her eyes, because we've been meeting with the ATF for years, asking for parameters. There are emails after emails of us engaging the ATF saying, how about this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And the ATF saying, oh yeah, well, let's come up with some parameters. And then and as time goes by, you can see that they don't answer us anymore. And then we get to about 19 months ago, and I don't know what happened, but things turned around. And, now all of a sudden you have these people essentially auditioning for the incoming administration. I mean, this is all this is.
Right.
This is an audition. I want to be in the incoming administration. Look,
Alex, look, I know you have to go here in a minute. I want to just ask you this and kind of let you wrap it up with, so what's next? And I'm not saying based on what the ATF decides to do at the end of this 14 days when they're allowing us so graciously, thank you, to comment on this. What happens, period? Well, I mean, this clearly, like I said earlier, there's no army of people going out there to scoop up SB tactical braces or any other braces for that matter. But for us, for me, the viewers, for the end user of your products and everything, what do we do? I mean, seriously, many of us do not subscribe to the options, the 5 options they have. Most of us are not going to register, believe it or not. We're not registering, free or not. We're not registering our items with them. We're not permanently removing the stabilizing brace because honestly, because of the ambiguity of the categories that I listed earlier, I don't fall in those. I'm not replacing the barrel with a 16-inch barrel. And I'm not surrendering my firearm to the ATF or destroying it. So, I mean, I'm not holding you to anything. What do we do? I mean, seriously.
Well, that's the call to action, and everybody has to make their own, choice about how they want to either abide, not abide. But the reality of it is the document itself has no force of law. And it says as much in the document at the very end, saying that it's essentially just guidance for people. Now, there are people out there that will say, well, I don't want to be the guy that gets caught doing this or not. Well, look, I don't see that happening. If you are out there and somebody comes up to you and puts you in prison for having a brace on your gun, give me a call and I will try and help you out personally. I haven't seen that, and if it happens, I'm going to be part of understanding why it happened and how it happened, and we'll do what we can. But the reality of it is there are, 4 million braces out on the market right now? 4 million? And in 2017, the ATF said that you can sporadically, occasionally, and incidentally file from the shoulder, and they're going to tell you that because you put an optic on your firearm, you're subject to a 10-year felony offense. I mean, this entire document does nothing for anybody, and it has no force of law, as it says at the very end. The document itself says there's nothing about this document that has the force of law. So what should people do? They should certainly respond, Paul. They should certainly certainly answer the call to action, which is to comment. And what those people want to know is, how does this affect you? Does it hurt your business? I certainly think it does. And I've spoken to enough businesses that tell me that if they're not getting braced guns, they don't know what they're going to sell. Most gun stores right now, that's all they're selling is braced guns, a small compact platform that can help them protect them in their times of needs, and that maybe fills that visceral purchase that they want to have. They want to buy a gun that looks like something they liked. There's no excess crime with braces. Can a crime happen with a braced gun? Sure. Is it the brace's fault? No. It's as much the brace's fault as it is the flip-up sights that are on the gun. It's not a force multiplier. The brace doesn't make the gun any more lethal.
No.
I mean, what public safety issues do we have here? So,
well, no, and to your point, where it does seem like stifling commerce is the issue. the argument all along that has always been there for AR pistols from the people who want to get rid of AR pistols is the fact that because they are classified as a pistol, that they can in fact be concealed. That's been the argument all along for pistols. No offense to your product, but your brace makes this thing a little bit bulkier than just having a buffer tube. It's less concealable in this configuration. So I don't understand the public safety aspect of it. Which side are these anti-gun people on? Do you want this to be concealable or do you not want it to be concealable? I don't understand the logic behind that. They truly want their cake and to eat it too.
So Dianne Feinstein, if you go to her website and you want to laugh, decided that she wanted to ban braces because they turn assault rifles into assault pistols by making them more accurate. That is the language on her website. So I believe it's the first time in history that a gun control advocate is attempting to ban a gun because it makes it safer to shoot.
Safer. That's right.
Safer to shoot.
Well, I guess that goes in with her 10 rounds magazines in California. You can actually hit the 10 things you're shooting at now in California based on her logic.
Should be made illegal. It's too accurate. That's bad.
Yeah. Well, Alex, look, I'm going to cut you loose, man. I know we've kept you over the amount of time you had. I really appreciate it, man. And I know this is a tough time for you guys. I would like to tell everybody that Alex has been overly gracious to us over the last few months with all this crap that he's dealing with. And Alex, that means a lot to me. I consider you a very good friend, and I know what you're going through, and I feel for you. I think a lot of us feel the same way. I feel like you guys have, in a certain amount of ways, been set up. The lies that you've been told to your face, the accusations that you guys are not submitting braces, they put that out there. And I approach things like most normal, rational, law-abiding gun owners, that the ATF is not to be trusted. But they put things out there to put a bug in people's minds that Alex hasn't been doing what he's supposed to be doing. And that drives me insane because I know what you guys have been doing behind the scenes.
So I'll say it again, not final determination letter from ATF. Okay, we've submitted all of our products 19 months ago. To date, we have not received any final determination letters from the ATF.
There you go. Well, Alex, I appreciate it. And look, anything we can do, anything whatsoever, please let us know. I would like to encourage people. By the way, Alex, let me show you real quick.
Yeah.
I got one of mine in today. I needed one of your braces for my B&T. So I actually got this from Optics Plan, and it came in today. So I'm not stopping buying my stuff. I mean, I've got things that I intend to use my products for, and I feel like I use them lawfully. And I think it would be really tough. And I know someone has to be wronged before things can go through the court system and make it to the Supreme Court. I get that. I don't want to be that guy. I'm just being honest with you. But I'm also not going to stop the way I conduct myself, my business, my range time, and what I do. And I encourage everybody, honestly, to do the same thing. Again, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm still buying your products. It's great products. And I really appreciate everything you guys have done.
All right. Take care, brother. I'm here for you if you need something. If people ask questions, if they ask questions and they need to have some answers, please forward them to me and I'll answer them as quickly as I can.
We'll do it. Thank you, man.
Take care, brother.
Chad, you want to stay on for a minute?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Guys, I wasn't able to take your questions because Alex had limited time, so I apologize for that. I will scroll through your questions here in a second. Yeah, man, that's it from the horse's mouth. I'm glad Alex threw that in there at the very end, because one of the things that's really bothered me is that when I had my video that I put out 2 or 3 weeks ago about the SB Tactical issues that the ATF was bringing up, the ATF had insinuated that there were 23 models, maybe, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's around that 20 range of braces that they made the incorrect assumption, and it's really as an outright lie, because there was documentation that I showed on the video that proved that they were lying. But they said only 2 of Alex's braces from SB Tactical had been approved, whenever there was actually documentation that the ATF submitted themselves to the FBI on braces that were not the two that they said were approved, that they told the FBI that these were in fact approved braces. So they're contradicting themselves by saying that only these two braces here, and they listed the two. And then they show that we find these other leaked documents, or I guess FOIA request documents that came out that actually showed, and two other braces, braces that were not named were in fact approved. And Alex had told me off the record that, and it's, you know, common knowledge to everybody, but he told me on a phone call, he's like, dude, we've submitted everything to them. He said they sat across the table from them and told them, which I guess he would go again, why are we trusting the ATF? But the ATF told SB Tactical that if you're not changing the technology or the overall basic design of what you have, the patented design that those guys have, of course, is, you know, this obviously the piece right here, the back end of the brace. But the main part of their design are these two pieces of plastic right here, or rubber, I should say. These two pieces of rubber are two of the patented pieces, and of course the Velcro strap that will in fact wrap around the arm whenever it's being used. Those are, in my opinion, the two main components of an SB Tactical brace. They told Alex that it wasn't necessary for him to submit every single brace in his category or in his stable, because if they used the same type of technology and there was nothing else, I guess you would say patentable, that they were doing, no need to submit them. Then they complained that Alex wasn't submitting them. So Alex submits all of them, every single one of them to the ATF. Then the ATF, so that they can still act like, maybe try to call Alex out and call him a liar, they just don't act on them. They don't rule on them. So they're sitting on every single brace that Alex's company, every single brace that SB Tactical manufactures is sitting at the ATF right now. But they've only approved two of them, according to the ATF, although we know better. They're saying they've only approved two because they haven't gotten off their asses yet and approved the other 20-something of them that they actually have in their own possession. And that was 2 years ago. That was not last month. So the ATF now is trying to smear Alex and SB Tactical. And that's what kind of drives me crazy. You know, you got people out there that are in our circles. I'm not saying they're like us, but they're in our circles, in the gun community. And some of them are kind of naive and maybe not so pro-Second Amendment as they might like to think that they are. But when they hear the ATF say, Alex has not submitted all of his braces and he's selling these braces that he's not submitted to us for approval yet, they're going, oh man, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or SB Tactical is lying to me. They're selling me an unapproved brace. But yet the ATF is the department that actually told Alex, we don't need you to submit every single one of them if it is in fact using the same technology that all your other braces have. It is the same technology. Let me show you guys real quick. I'm going to show you two very different SB Tactical braces, and you'll see what I'm talking about. That's the one right there. I'm coming back. All right, here's some of the braces that these guys have. These are two this is actually being worked on right now. But these are two very, very, very different braces, both by SB Tactical. This one might have CMMG's logo on it, but this is an SB Tactical brace. These are very, very, very different. But if you'll look, the exact same technology on both of them. They both have the two little rubber flaps on the side of them, and they both have the Velcro strap dangling from it. Here's yet another one. Velcro strap around it, and the two dangling little pieces of rubber on both sides of it. That is the patentable portion that makes Alex's SB Tactical braces what they are. If you take some of his competitors, they don't look like this. They don't have the patentable stuff that he has. The material he uses, which is a flexible rubber on both sides of it, That's what makes his what they are. The ATF let him know not necessarily submit all of those. Then they write a letter saying that he's not submitted all of them. Then he submits all of them. Then they don't check them out. Then they don't approve them. Guys, that drives me nuts. What drives me more nuts is the fact that we've got people, again, that are in our circle, so to speak, that go, well, I believe the ATF. I mean, why would they lie? Why would the ATF lie, right? This is one of the most bastardized documents I have ever seen in my life. I read this thing. You can see my notes here. This is when I start getting highlight pen crazy and see my notes that I write in the corners over there. This blew my mind. I could not believe what I was reading when I read this. There are things in here, and I'll tell you right now, what Alex was saying, this is pretty much a threat. This is not anything that they anticipate or expect to actually enforce. This is an outright threat. And let me tell you why. This is one of the things that I read in the document. As explained above, classifications allow industry members to plan, develop, and distribute products that comply with the law and thereby reduce their risk of incurring criminal or civil penalties or potentially costing corrective actions, including a possible recall by the manufacturer. That is nothing more than the ATF saying that you better listen to me, because if not, you're liable to face criminal and civil penalties and risk having to recall all your products and have some kind of financial difficulty with your company. That's a threat at the companies, not just the SB Tacticals. That's a threat at the companies doing business with the SB Tacticals, like this CMMG brace right here. That's their way of saying, yeah, they actually branded this SB Tactical brace with CMMG on it. That's their way of threatening CMMG to stop doing business with a company like SB Tactical. Guys, that's not right. Like Alex said, this is America. This is not the America I grew up in. I'm 52 years old. I've never seen anything like this. I've always seen the ATF playing their games out there, but never at this level. This is a monstrosity of a bill. Guys, what I'm going to do with this, just because I want everybody else to see it, and I know not everybody else, and this is not a knock at anyone, but I know not everybody is going to take the time to read this document. I've highlighted this for my own use, but I'm going to take pictures of this and probably on our Facebook page, because it's the easiest place to post them. I may do it on Instagram as well. I will go and post all of my pictures of this so you guys can see, what I've got and my notes out there. Maybe it draws your attention to it. And, if nothing else, it gets some dialogue going. But gosh, the number one thing that we have to do, and I'm going to put a video out on this whole letter this weekend. I'll post all the links and everything. We've got to go and let our voices be heard, guys. If you'll remember when we had the green tip ammo issue, remember whenever they kept talking about green tip ammo needs to be outlawed because it's bulletproof, bullet armor piercing ammo. And a lot of us who had thousands of rounds in our garages or our gun rooms, we were outraged because we're like, wait a minute, you're trying to make me a felon just like they're trying to do right now. You're trying to make me a felon. I've got things that I purchased legally. It was legal to purchase when I bought it. I bought them legally. I paid taxes on it. And now you're trying to make me a felon and say that I can't have those things anymore. I have to turn them in when I paid for them legally. People were outraged, and that they went through this same process of giving their feedback and their comments and their opinions to the ATF. They contacted the White House. They contacted congresspersons and senators. They let their voices be heard. You know what happened? We can still to this day, buy green tip ammo. Because people made enough noise. They were intent on outlawing green tip ammo, and we changed their minds. Gun Owners of America did that. Guys, we can do it again. It's very possible. There is no reason why we cannot give them enough feedback. They think that we can't provide enough feedback by shortening this limit of time to 14 days instead of the 30 required by law. They think that that's their way to get around this and do it during the holidays. This is our opportunity to prove that in 14 days, we don't need 30. We don't need 14. Heck, we don't need 4. If we all don't waste any time and go straight to this website that I'm going to post the link to, And in fact, I'll put it in the body. If you'll go back and look at this live video after it's already played, I'll take the link to the corresponding place to go and give your feedback. I'll put it in the description of this video. So just come straight back to this video after you're done. But we've got to let them know, hear our voices. And you know what? I don't think it stops with the ATF. I honestly don't. I think that it's high time that congresspersons know, look, we're at a very odd time. I'm not even going to address the presidential side of it. We've got the House of Representatives with a very, very slim margin in favor of the Democrats, so slim that they can't do crazy stuff. They honestly can't. We know they're going to propose these anti-gun bills, especially if the Republicans hold the House. And I'm not making this a Democrat versus Republican thing because I don't trust any of them. But what I'm saying is there's a slim margin right now. I don't see anyone trying to get too out of line right now. And I see people needing feathers in their caps. Typically, if you go straight to the ATF and correspond directly with them, this shows me that they're going to do whatever they want. I honestly feel like the ATF is doing this, that this is all academic. They don't have any intention of doing anything other than what they've listed in this letter, and they're going to do it. But if we let politicians know, because the politicians need to be the ones who are offended in all this. The politicians are the legislative branch. They are the ones who make the law. By law, the politicians are the ones who make law, not the ATF, not some bureaucracy. If I were a politician, and you know their egos are way bigger than any of our egos. If I were a politician and I saw that a bureaucracy, an unelected bureaucracy, was trying to usurp my power, the power I've got, if I'm Senator Paul or Congressman Paul, and now you're trying to take my power and act like you can pass some kind of a law without it being approved or going through me, I'm not going to let it happen. And that's what needs to happen. We need to throw this back into the face of the politicians and let them know that, wait a minute, you're not doing your job. These guys are stealing your responsibility. They're stealing your power. They're taking what you are supposed to be doing from you, and they're doing it. Do your job. And I think that's one way we can combat this, is to get the politicians involved. Again, guys, don't worry. I don't trust those guys either. But if you start pounding on their egos enough to where it looks like the ATF is usurping their power, now you might get their attention. Because again, that's all they care about, is the power that they wield. So guys, I'm going to post that link. We're going to get on out of here. We're right at 8:02, so we got an hour in. It feels good to be able to meet with you guys again on Friday afternoons. I will say this, and thank you, Chad. Chad Marino with Killer Webs is behind Killer Die. Chad has all kind of killer stuff. Chad is behind the scenes. He's pretty much the producer right now that's been switching the screens and all that between Alex and myself. Big thanks to him for doing that. But Chad and I are going to be working together. And you guys know Chad from some old videos. We're going to be working together, hopefully, in some of the coming Fridays leading up to January 18th, where we do our live stream of the 1791 Summit. I hope you guys will join us for the 1791 Summit. Whenever we do put correspondence out about the 1791 Summit, I hope you guys will take the time to share it possibly, because that definitely helps us bring in a bigger audience, which is a big deal to us. We'd like to be able to provide that inside look at SHOT Show to you guys live every single year going forward. So this is a big opportunity for us to make sure we launch it in the right way and have you guys help us to push that out there and help to promote it. So thank you guys. And thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. As I always say, you know, you got better things to do on a Friday night. I know you do, than to tune in here. It means a lot to me that you guys do hang out with us on a Friday night. Hopefully you brought a cold beer. Mine's probably not too cold anymore, but I'm going to finish this up whenever I'm done. But yeah, guys, thank you again. Chad, thank you. And we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to go follow up and read you guys' comments on all that. And I'll answer whatever I can in the live chat section of the video here in a little bit. But look in that description for the links of everything we talked about tonight. And I'll provide all that. You can click on them and go send letters to ATF. I'll try to pull up letters to Congress also, so you can send letters to Congress and the White House as well. So guys, hope you guys have a good weekend. Be safe. If you're going to the range, please be safe. We need you guys back here next Friday night, and I want to see, you know, the level of responsibility that we all do as far as administering that in the gun community is really important. We got to be back here every single week. We don't need negligent discharges or unsafe acts or anything like that, especially all the new gun owners we have out there. So if you're going to the range, please be safe. Please teach everybody else politely and nicely about gun safety as well. We'll see you guys next week.